Good afternoon and welcome to this hearing on global online freedom. About 2 billion people in the world regularly communicate or get information on the Internet. Well over 500 million people do so in repressive countries. As Internet use has become vital and even the standard means to disseminate beliefs, ideas, and opinions, so we see a growing number of countries that censor or conduct surveillance on the Internet in conflict with internationally recognized human rights, laws, and standards. In 2006, I held the first major hearing ever on Internet freedom right here in this room in response to Yahoo's turning over the personally identifying information of its emailer account holder Shi Tao to the Chinese government, who tracked him down and sentenced him to 10 years for sending abroad emails that revealed the details of Chinese government press controls. At that hearing, Yahoo, Google, Microsoft, and Cisco testified as to what we might ruefully call their worst practices of cooperation with the Internet police of totalitarian governments like China's. That same week, I introduced the first Global Online Freedom Act as a means to help Internet users in repressive states. In 2008, the Global Online Freedom Act was passed by 3 House committees. In the last dozen years, the Internet in many countries has been transformed from a freedom plaza to Big Brother's best friend. The technologies to track, monitor, block, filter, trace, remove, attack, hack, and remotely take over Internet activity content and users has exploded. Many of these technologies are made in the United States. Many of them have important and legitimate law enforcement applications, but sadly, many of them are also being exported every day to some of the most unsavory governments in the world whose use of them is far from legitimate. Every day we learn that more activists are being arrested through the use of newly developed technologies, much of it American technology, in China, Belarus, Egypt, Syria, and many other countries around the world. The stakes are life and death for online democracy activists, and they deserve our support and protection. Today, I introduced a bill, along with Congressman Frank Wolf and some other members of the House, a bill that responds to the growing use of the Internet as a tool of repression and to changes in technologies of repression. The new Global Online Freedom Act of 2011, H.R. 3605, fundamentally updates legislation I first introduced in 2006 and which in 2008, as I mentioned before, advanced through 3 House committees. The new GOFA requires the State Department to beef up its reporting on Internet freedom and the annual country reports on human rights practices, and to identify by name Internet restricting countries. Second, the bill requires Internet companies listed on U.S. stock exchanges to disclose to the Securities and Exchange Commission how they conduct their human rights due diligence, including with regard to the collection and sharing of personally identifiable information with repressive countries and the steps they take to notify users when they remove content or block access to content. Finally, in response to many reports that we've all seen in the papers recently of U.S. technology being used to track down or conduct surveillance of activists through the Internet or mobile devices, this bill will prohibit the export of hardware or software that could be used for potentially illicit activities such as surveillance, tracking, and blocking to the governments of Internet restricting countries. Current export control laws do not take into account the human rights impact of these exports and therefore do not create any incentive whatsoever for U.S. companies to evaluate their role in assisting repressive regimes. Today's hearing is an important moment to take stock where we are and how we can move forward to promote and defend Internet freedom around the world. We must send a strong message to companies that they have a unique role to play in preserving online freedom, and send an even stronger message to repressive governments that the Internet must not become what it is today, so often a tool of repression.